I have AIDS. Oh, damn it. Have you ever been watching a show, playing a game, I don't know, pooping yourself, when a song turns on, it makes you think, wow, this song is awesome? No? Oh yeah, I get that. Music in most forms of media are at its best when it's not noticeable, while also setting the tone, keeping the atmosphere, and in turn giving the viewer a pleasurable experience. It's actually a meme amongst most creators that great audio is the hardest thing to achieve while being the least praised. Which pretty much means, yeah, this song is freaking sweet. Lois, freaking sweet, Lois. The reason why I bring this up is because I feel like a lot of people don't really appreciate OSTs or original soundtracks as the works of art that they really are. You can have the greatest storytelling ability in the world, but if the background music sounds like a bunch of trash cans clanging together, then no thank you. I'm just gonna go watch Minecraft YouTubers make up fake drama and no, cry. When it comes to Japanese media in general, especially anime, it seems like the soundtrack takes more of a lead than most people might think. For some reason, people attribute some of the greatest parts of any shows to their soundtrack. And I mean, I've always attributed really good anime to having insanely good music as well. And although I'm not a weeaboo by any means, I do have an anime picture, so my opinion does kind of matter, you know? I just want to get this out right now. I am not a professional musician. I don't know a thing about music theory, chord progression, anything like that. I'm not going to go into detail about how the vibrato in the 5th chord is just exquisite. No, I'm not a nerd. I'm just going to go over some of my favorite soundtracks in anime, what some of my favorite songs are, why I love them so much, and why I think they are so important. Also, I haven't watched every anime in the world, so if you're wondering why I'm not bringing up these shows, it's because I haven't watched them, and these ones because I didn't like them. Is that okay? Okay, we good? Alright, let's go. Also, don't forget to subscribe. Please. I want to start off with what makes this type of music inherently different from regular American television shows. I can sit here and talk about how Breaking Bad's sound design is an impeccable way to bring atmosphere and tension, when I would never listen to its soundtrack outside of the show. But for some reason, since its inception, anime has always tried to make every song listenable. From its intro soundtrack that every single one needs to have for whatever reason, to the background music when the characters are eating breakfast. No matter the case, it always seems like they try to make the theme as good as possible. Most of the time the music comes up as forgettable, but when they get it right, it can add so much more to the general tone, atmosphere, and if popular enough, can even become standalone hits of their own. I think you know where I'm going with this. I honestly wasn't the biggest fan of Evangelion. I binged it, loved the movie, watched a few great analysis videos on it, and to this day appreciate what it means, but the show in general felt kinda tacky. I don't know if it's just me and my Zoomer liberal snowflake brain, but almost every episode had the same, "Oh Shinji, you need to save the world. Oh no, I don't want to save the world, no. Oh Shinji, they're gonna kill you. Shinji, if you don't save the world. Oh no, I saved the day again. I'm the best." I'm not kidding, this is every episode. With that said, the movie End of Evangelion is incredible and completely blew my expectations out of the water. Everything that I was conditioned to expect from the show was thrown away, and it kept me on my toes throughout the entire movie. Asuka, Baby Man, Misato, all these characters get what I would consider to be their perfect end. And scenes like the Third Impact are just a sight to behold. Now you may be wondering, where does the soundtrack come into this? And I'm getting there, come on, be patient. I hate to admit this, but I have to say that I used to be a Call Me Carson fan, which in layman's terms, I was a band kid. Now I wasn't one of those annoying ones spouting Redditor memes unironically, but I did take band classes and was in the drumline for my local high school. But with that said, I was never able to stand classical music. I found it tacky, boring, overplayed, and completely overrated. It was just something I had to study for a class I didn't pay attention in, and something I had to play all the time, which made me loathe having to listen to it. With that said, the only time I've ever really enjoyed classical music were in the renditions showcased in Evangelion. All of a sudden, these dumb, overplayed songs seem like they actually had some sort of meaning. Like these ones right here that I'm not even gonna try to pronounce, and Jesus, oh my god. And I know what you're thinking, oh, Weeaboo only likes it cause the anime, but the actual execution of these songs, depending on the situation, fits perfectly in this sort of apocalyptic style. Again, Jesus Bleeble von Wiener Schnitzel only works so well because of the way it's performed. Normally a super fast song, all of a sudden played slow and solemnly. It just works. While also having songs like Kom Susur Todd, which is a complete and absolute banger. It's one of the most final and hopeless songs that I've ever listened to, and it works perfectly not only as background track to the most cinematic scene in the entire show, but also as a song in general. And of course, Cruel Angel Thesis has become the soundtrack to everybody's 2020, but in all honesty, I feel like it's one of the weaker songs in Evangelion's entire soundtrack. Maybe that's because it's been playing non-stop in my head since I was in the womb, but songs like Masato, Shinji, and even the Fly Me to the Moon rendition in the credits feel better to me. It's not that I think it's bad. I do, but Evangelion has so many orchestral masterpieces mixed together with great vocals, it's kind of weird that this song is so popular. What I can say is that Evangelion set the bar really high, not just for its story and message, but also for its soundtrack. Maybe it's a bold claim from someone who doesn't know anything, but I feel like a lot of tropes that anime has nowadays can be sourced back to EVA, and its soundtrack is just one of those. But even when the bar is set so high, it's always able to be surpassed. Was that a good transition? If you looked anywhere at this channel, you'd probably guess that Sakurai would make an appearance here, and you're right. I love this show for a countless amount of reasons, and if you click on the little card thing, you can hear why. It's my favorite show for a reason, but I've recently caught myself downloading and making full playlists of the soundtrack, mainly from the second disc, so I can listen to it anywhere. This disc contains a lot of secondary songs, no main themes, mostly piano or orchestral tracks again, made entirely for background music. And to me, they're absolutely beautiful. I don't even know what the names of the songs are, I just call them by their numbers, but they're still able to leave this impact that I never knew that could be had. Sakurai's music truly shines in repetition. Where Evangelion felt boring, Sakurai was able to bring multiple meanings to its slim song selection. I swear, there's one song that plays in every single episode, but I was still able to love it to this day. Its soundtrack is so dynamic, being able to fit the tone from happy and calm to depressed and hopeless, which can really add context to a scene if you're not sure where it's going to go. Now, Sakurai's soundtrack isn't perfect. There are a lot of songs that are way too generic, and even the good ones don't always have the presence that you wish it would have. And I'm not going to start saying some bullshit like, ooh, it's not good enough because the characters don't feel good enough. No, that's a cop-out answer. If it doesn't sound good, it doesn't sound good. Miss me with your 100 gex garage band type beat. If I don't like listening to it, then I don't like it.
Oh, but Zenith, you just don't understand. 100 gex is an unapologetic reflection of an unapologetic youth. A frustrated and angry generation who has seen its predecessors either actively destroy the world or do nothing.
Luckily, the great songs are just that. Really great. I can list a few numbers off of the top of my head that I can always listen to so I can get that comforting, safe feeling that I always get when watching this show. I still can't tell you what it is that gives me this feeling, but maybe it's because Sakurai is the first anime I've ever really watched. That being said, I would highly recommend listening to Sakurai's entire OST. Not just the stupid songs meant for the silly moments, but the serious ones, made for the parts of the show that actually matter. I feel like this anime has always been overlooked because of some of the scenes being completely out of left field, but trust me, everything about this show is worth it. From the character development to the messages behind the layers of fan service, Sakurai is incredible, and the soundtrack just adds on to it. There's not that many things that I would consider to be masterpieces. They really have to break the flow of traditional media before I can even consider it to be one. That sounds insanely pretentious, but from everything I've ever watched, played, or listened to, there's only a select few things that I would ever consider to be perfect. And the movie I Want to Eat Your Pancreas, with that weird-ass name, happens to be one of them. This is one of the best movies I've ever seen. The message is great, the art style is fantastic, the characters actually seem like they exist. A lot of boundaries that are set from watching traditional media are shattered within the first 30 minutes. And I'd be hard-pressed to tell you any soundtrack that can convey as much raw, visceral emotion that this one does. The music changes dynamically as the movie goes on. You hear a bunch of perky piano-centric tunes at the beginning when the preceding events seem so far away, to slowly but surely getting more depressed and real as the reality of the situation sets in. This character has a time limit, and you're going to see every step of the way to the bitter end. There are so many scenes in this movie where you think, please don't let this be it. Please don't let this be the end. And for a while, it's not. You get invested in this relationship, you see their hardships, you see this mute, antisocial character slowly open up to this perky, over-the-top lady. There are really so many interesting, meaningful themes and messages here that I really want to be able to make something about it in the future. But for right now, let me talk to you about a song that hit me like a truck when I first heard it. A song that only plays near the end of the credits. You've already watched the movie, it's over. All of the events in the movie are done. There's nothing more to see, nothing more to do, just listen to the piano play. There isn't much more to it because there doesn't need to be. It doesn't need to always be incredibly hard to play or stunning to make some sort of an impact. All you need are these few chords. And with these chords comes a whimsical feeling. It takes you back to the memory of the main character and all the good times that you made in those 90 minutes. Hell, for a bit, I forgot that I was watching a movie and it felt like I became the main character. Which is kind of weird if you think about it. This song is just too good. It's so final, so cinematic, so grand, while only using one instrument. And it is by far one of the most emotionally driven pieces I've ever heard. Look, I came into this video trying to find an analytical approach to this. I would love to articulate how these songs are meant to make you feel, but I can't. These pieces are so different, so detailed, and so incredible compared to anything that I've ever listened to. Suffice to say, after trying so hard to critique these songs objectively, I can't. And maybe that's the beauty of music like this. There's not many things that can automatically give you a memory or make you feel something. So when soundtracks do, I think that emphasizes my point. That point being that this type of music is great at conveying specific emotions. Be it fun, cheery, depressed, or even hopeless, it's the best out there. And if there's one thing in this world that I wish could be converted into American culture, it would have to be this. Just try not to whitewash it, alright?
Hey Lois, I'm watching this video on the internet from famous YouTuber Zenith, but under the video there's the subscribe button. What happens if I click on it?
Peter, if you click the subscribe button, you stay notified when Zenny makes a new video.
Freaking sweet!